I don't usually do music reviews, but when I do, I review cassettes. Let's go.
Oh, this is really nice.
Good old audio cassettes. Sure, they may not be very durable, and the sound quality might be vastly inferior to CDs and vinyl, but even so, there's a certain, I don't know, nostalgic quality to them that I just don't get from other mediums. When I was a little kid, I used to listen to music on audio cassettes. Sometimes when I went to my grandma's house, I would listen to the soundtrack to The Music Man on audio cassette. One time, I found an old audio cassette of Elton John's album Too Low for Zero. I think it belonged to my mom. I would sometimes record myself and my brother just having fun, doing voices, making up silly stuff. All on audio cassette. Some of the best memories I have come from listening to music and recording all kinds of random stuff. An episode of A Prairie Home Companion, the trailer for the film 1941, some snippets from Patton, Dr. Strangelove, and even Family Guy, all on audio cassette. My parents used to have an audio cassette recorder connected to a huge stereo system. It could get so loud sometimes. But it was awesome. But I'm sure you didn't come here to listen to me wax nostalgic about another dead analog media format. I've already done that. Oh, you came here to listen to me talk about this. Yes, Super Brothers, Sword and Sorcery, LP, The Ballad of the Space Babies. The soundtrack to one of the best games I have ever played, Super Brothers, Sword and Sorcery. I did a review of the game, and an unboxing of the soundtrack. Enclosed in the description are each. But in case you don't remember all of what was contained therein, I will give you a brief rundown, as well as an overview of each track on the album. The music in Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery was composed by Jim Guthrie. No relation to that Guthrie or that Guthrie. And it is one of the best parts of the game. One of the many reasons I just had to get the soundtrack. Now, as for why I got it on audio cassette, well, I honestly don't know. In any case, I'm glad I got it when I did, as it is now out of print on Jim Guthrie's Bandcamp page. Hipsters, man. They're all over obsolete media formats like moths to a flame. But anyway, the case is almost as pretty as the music contained herein. It's all green and stuff. Very nice. And the inside of the case is a real treasure. Apart from the music, of course. The insert folds out to a panoramic pixel drawing of one of the locations from the game. Then, of course, we have the track listing and a photograph of this interesting Lego sculpture of the Scythian. The cassette itself is pretty as well. All blue and stuff. Nice. So without further ado, let's dive right in to the sounds of sorcery. The opening track of Side A, Dark Flute, is one of the best tracks on the album. I just love the blend of old and new in terms of instrumentation. Mainly, the duet of the flute and the bubbly synth. Perfectly sets the relaxed mood for not only the beginning of the album, but the beginning of the game. The next track, Lone Star.
We're doing it for a load of money.
No, not that Lone Lone Star. I'm talking about track 2 on the album. This is another one of my favorite tracks. More uses of bubbly synths than you can shake a stick at. Lone Star is the perfect track to go for a walk in the park or maybe even a leisurely bike ride. No matter what you're doing, Lone Star will always be one of the best tracks in this game. Track 3, Doomsock, is a little more of a sharp contrast to the previous 2 tracks. Despite its funny name, it sounds a little darker, more ominous. There's a deep bass line that reminds me a little bit of Pink Floyd's One of These Days from their album Echoes. Right in the middle of it, there's a loud burst of synth. Definitely not one you would want to listen to with the lights off. Track 4, however, brings it back up. By a lot. Titled The Prettiest Weed, for reasons which I cannot fathom, it starts off simply enough with a nice little piano intro. Then it builds up to a crescendo of drums, synths, in addition to pianos. Not really a befitting sound for a title like The Prettiest Weed. More like a sound to travel through snowy mountains in a violent blizzard. Real Dr. Zhivago kind of stuff. When I hear a title like The Prettiest Weed, I think of something like this. Moving on, track 5, The Cloud, brings things down a notch. Quite a few notches, actually. Almost to the point of putting you to sleep. Bringing you in with a gentle electric guitar solo, and sending you further into a happy little nest of strings and synths and I'm not sure, but I think I hear a saxophone in there somewhere. Yawn. Boring. Next. Ah, now we're talking. The final track on side A, Under a Tree, is definitely anything but boring. Like Doomsock, it leads you in with another bass line that brings to mind the theme from Doctor Who more than anything. Then it builds and builds and builds, one layer of synth on top of the other. Until we have a veritable orchestra of electronic sound. Definitely ending with a bang instead of a whimper. 7th track on the album, and the first track on side B, The Maelstrom, is unfortunately not too promising. Starts with a weak guitar solo and a sort of minimalist piano accompaniment that reminds me of the piano licks from The Social Network, before finally getting to some synths. And that's pretty much it. Not a very good start. But it'll get better, right? As a matter of fact, no. And that is a shame, because I really wanted to like this track. Eponymously titled The Ballad of the Space Babies, this track starts off with a single choir harmony, followed by a synth lick that alternates between the two. This goes on for 3 minutes. It's more disappointing than anything, I think. Ah, well. Moving on. Oh, what's this? Another scary track? Great! Unknowable Geometry, track 9, plays at a pivotal point during the game. And it is another one of my favorite tracks on the album. It's just so epic. This is synth music at its absolute finest. Great for a climactic fantasy battle, or maybe even another trek through the snowy mountains. Wow! The next track is going to be awesome! Oh. Well. This is Bones McCoy, track 10. One of the more noisy pieces on the album. It's mostly drums and deep, dark synths. But it also samples the bass line from Doomsock. The track is a little too loud for my tastes, and not one you would want to listen to with the volume turned up. Yeesh. Ode to a Room.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bull. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Ugh! I really need to stop making this harder for myself. Anyway, track 11, Ode to a Room, is another loud track. It's kind of hard to identify all of the instruments in the track. I know there's a lot of synth in the mix, but it actually sounds more like deep cellos. And a lot of drums. It's not very enjoyable to me. Next. That's a little better. Track 12, The Prettiest Remix, is, like the title says, a remix of track 4, The Prettiest Weed. And after the previous two tracks, judging from the opening chords of the harp, you would think that this would be nice and quiet. But it isn't. It's a short piece, about a minute long. and it consists almost entirely of drums, pianos, and some synths. I don't really like it. Now we come to the penultimate track on the album, The Whirling Infinite. The good news is, it lives up to its title, as it really sounds like you're whirling into an infinite swarm of loud synths and, I think, xylophones of all things. And then towards the middle of the track, we get a creepy robotic voice talking in numbers or some such gibberish.
Begin transmission. 4, 0.
And finally, we get this. I think my ears are dead. Well, that was pretty disappointing. But thank goodness we're on the last track, The Little Furnace. And if the previous tracks are anything to go by, this will probably be the worst track yet. And it starts off painfully enough, with some synthesized I don't know what. But then... oh, that's pretty. Some gentle theremin-sounding licks, some happy little strokes of synth, and later, some drums. You know, this is actually pretty nice. However, I still need to give my final verdict. Is Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery LP, The Ballad of the Space Babies, worth your time and money? Well, I would say that it is. There are some awfully good tracks on this album. I like them a lot. But there are also some not so good tracks. I don't like those very much. But if we exclude the bonus tracks, which I will get to at another time, maybe, the good sounding tracks, actually they kind of meet neck and neck with the bad sounding tracks, but still. This album receives the Space Zoomer seal of approval and quality. Well, I do believe I have run out of Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery related material to talk about.
No, I haven't.
So, if you'll excuse me, I know a room of musical tunes, so I must go into the other room and make them work.
Ugh, rainbows.